And make sure I've got chat up. So, there's been ongoing discussion about um, Primo usability and customization as well as accessibility. And this stage of the discussion, all these examples, I don't have any information about the accessibility, like actual ADA accessibility of these examples, but I think there are some really interesting ideas about like wording, ease of user understanding, what they've decided to include or not include to kind of get us thinking about like what customizations you might want to make in your system, or what kind of here is you know a great place to start, standard if you need a real good cleanup of your Primo interface. So I did hopefully make this commentable, and I will share the link in chat. And I hope that even if we don't have a chance to really get through every single example, certainly on this one, that this will be the kind of place where you can just like add a comment and like I really like this on this example, or wow, that's terrible. Um, so a little bit of um, I guess directing through the document. I've put several home pages here with their links at the top of the document. We've got a couple that are Australian or from the UK. I tried to choose ones that didn't follow the standard out of the box, but also, like this one is very close to out of the box, but they have done some customizing. There's obviously some that are more customized, and yeah, lots of Welsh letters. And then so you've got that, and then after those I did the same, my dental hygiene search, and I've done the link to that search so you can replicate it if you wanted to explore. But it kind of shows you, like what do they have up here? Like what does their basic search look like? I've left it on their default search profile here and what they call that. I've left any of the facets here opened or closed in their default state based on how they have that set up. And you can see, their choice of colors and what they include in the item records for, the same thing every time. So, you can see where people have changed fonts. Some of them I did like change the scale in the browser so I could get more of the content on the page. We've got a few who have put the facets on the right. UW has gone for quite a lot of customization with their facets. There's one, here's another with the right side. You've got an example here from SUNY of like changing the colors of some of the links. Here's that facet customization with color bars, but without the big boxes like UW has. University of Oregon has turned on the exclude by default. somehow. You can see a very streamlined one here. Anyway, so lots of those. And then as much as possible, I attempted to open the same textbook available online, or not textbook, but book available online, so that we could look at what the view online options were, if they've changed the labels on those, what kind of information they have in
Oh,
those links.
how are they getting a hypertext link in that note?
That so this is the probably the public note, and they've done some kind of coding to put that hyperlink into the public note. So we should definitely, that's a great question. Put a comment there so we remember.
Yes.
So some of these changes would come from CSS, and others would come from discovery, customization within, so you wouldn't have to go into the customization package. So, like if there's something that everybody's like, no, this is amazing, we want to see how this is done. I was like, well, I have taken examples from the same basic set of schools for all of these, and I'll reach out and ask. Or I'll inspect the page source and look at their code and figure it out. So yeah, so you can see, I think this is one that shows you what, I think Abby, you've brought this up, where the links to the content are before the send to option.
I've wanted
Um,
to do that forever. Yeah.
and then there's another one where they've put the external links even above the view online option. So in this case, I was like, that's bad. I don't like that. Um, uh, this one where they've changed the send to cite and save, which I was like, yes, I love it. Um, and here's the UW one. And yeah, so figuring out how to make the public note clickable is for sure a good, like, see, and even UW's done it. So we definitely have contacts with UW that can tell us how they did that. Hawkeye, which was the one that like their homepage and their results page are not too far out of the box, but they are nicely streamlined. And so I did make sure that I got Hawkeye in all three sets. This one, I liked that the link was just a lot larger. So this kind of change would come from CSS. You'd look at like the tag on that, and then you'd change that. We've got this one, like very limited, and instead of send to, they're saying tools. SUNY has added, like they have done in details, like every single subject they've turned on all of the tagging, and it was so long. And then their view online is way down below all of that. So I thought, again, like that's just a good one to look at and be like, see, this is why we sometimes need to look at what we do, because not everyone does it right. Adelaide University did not have that specific book, so I chose a different ebook. And they have created a terms and conditions section that is not specific to the link, and probably easier to insert HTML there. And I'm guessing that this is, yeah, I could figure out where that goes. And then University of Oregon, all the send to options, but again, they've moved the view online up. They also have a very, very long full details section. Not with all the subjects, because you can see like only one subject, but they do include the full contents. So yeah. Anyway, so that's what I did yesterday. Um just kind of looking for examples of stuff, and I guess we could kind of just, if you wanted to jump in and just make comments on different versions that you like, and we can talk through as you comment here. So like, if yeah, yeah. But I really liked, like, for example, on this one, I liked that they got uh the carousel, so that you've got some like updated uh content that feels like it's not just a dead page buried somewhere with no personality. Um and it doesn't have to be new books, because we know how fabulously problematic doing new book carousels are, but they've gotten easier. Um what else? One of the things I didn't like about Brown from just a UI perspective is the typeface that they've chosen here. This serif is not really optimal for online reading. It should not be used for tags or blocks. It would be okay for display. Like, it's not bad up here in larger typeface, but it's not great there. This one I like because it's mostly out of the box. Um, but also like a nice way to highlight collections. Um, yeah, so the Primo search page is probably used differently depending on how you set up your library homepage. What I tend to forget until suddenly I'm doing research is that if you're doing a search and you click new search, it sends you to that library homepage. And like, I don't know how we could certainly look at people's usage as well. Like, we could look at the homepage visits. There's probably analytics for that. But I think it's it's finding that balance between like putting a little bit of effort in and assuming that nobody sees it. And that's why so many people leave it as like out of the box, because they're like, oh, well, we're just going to jump right in. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, this doesn't even reflect what we do. This was one where it's like, I don't think any of our institutions would go so far as to, put in a video and collections and recently added, but I did really like that they had a tutorial on this homepage, because it's a great way to keep that clutter off your like front library website. But again, if people are kind of clicking around because they don't know how they're using it, um, it's a great tutorial where they might need it. Okay, so let's see. We've got some clickable link in Primo V. Yep. Aha. A Mark 21 normalization rule for display. Fascinating. Well, this is gonna be fun. Sweet. All right, I'm putting these links next to what we saw. Where were those? What? Where'd it go? No. There we go. Which one is that? Create some space. Yeah, so and if we, if there are ones that everyone like really likes, I don't know if there's a way to like add an emoji reaction, and then we could kind of pare down which ones we keep in here with comments. But I'd love for this to kind of be a living document where we can compile tips and tricks and documentation and examples, or link to other how-tos or our own catalogs. Yeah, I really do like anytime we can change the default labels to something that a student is more familiar with. It's so like frustrating when people are like, yeah, but that's not totally accurate. Okay, well, I mean, accurate and not understood versus clear, and maybe there's something weird that doesn't quite fit. You know, it's like, just because I label my son's bin of wheeled vehicles as cars doesn't mean there aren't fire trucks in there, but also he can't read wheeled vehicles. So yeah, anyone want to like hop in and talk about a cool one, and I can scroll to it, or talk about something you hate and I can scroll to it?
I have a question on one.
Mm-hmm.
There's one, it's like the Welsh one, I think.
Results item.
Landing page.
Okay. Yeah.
Aberystwyth.
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 Ooh, nice. There it is. In one of those boxes, okay, so it's likely in Welsh. Twilio primo in Gimle.
Oh, yeah, I tried to it like it went, it says it's English, but
Yeah, that's Welsh.
yeah.
Well, is it saying, is it like guidance on how to change the language?
Mm,
It's like, do you, if you,
yeah,
sorry, Kirsty, is that what you were thinking?
Gymraeg is, it's what I think Wheelio is to change. So
yeah, limit this search to English language results.
what? But it says in Welsh. Anyways,
Yeah, but I find
Yeah.
it really interesting because we all have like populations of students whose, whose first language is not necessarily English, if
Mhm.
how welcoming would it be to land on this page and see if you would like to see labels in Spanish or whatever
Yeah.
in your language.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
great. Do you know what I'm saying?
Google
Yeah, and
confused me. This is what it says.
that sounds right. Yeah, well, in Wales, legally, they have to provide everything in Welsh as well as English. So yeah, so looking at some of the Welsh libraries would probably be really helpful for anyone who's trying to do, you know, a dual language or try or whatever multilingual Primo interface.
Well, and I think it's saying says something about menu, and then you can choose here. So if you have a Spanish language version activated, there's we sh we should comment, we should put a note in this document about creating the menu link to display language. So here it is, totally in Welsh. So that if you do the work to get a Spanish version, having a box that says looking for Spanish, go to the menu.
I like how they have that box on the English language page. It says, "Are you looking for Welsh?" And then it has the instructions. And on the Welsh language page, "Are you looking for English?" And it has the instructions in English. That's a
right?
really nice touch.
Like good. Yeah. Okay, have we commented? No. Yes, comment. So yeah, so and I think, a lot of this stuff is probably not like that crazy. I'm pretty sure like this menu thing, it would be okay, we've activated a different language one, and now when we go up to display configuration under menu settings, we just need to click to change the language. But just getting that tile onto the page, um, you know, those 3 steps aren't gonna take, a full term. We did notice when we did like the Spanish language one, um, that while some of it automatically translates, things like these upper menu items do not. And so you have to go in and like put in what you want the translation. It'll give you like a default option, but you have to go ahead and say like, yep, that's what I want it to say, and change it to the Spanish. And where was that in the how to search one, Melinda? This one.
Yeah, that's the one. It was the one, yeah, the one right above you, Doug. I just had that embedded video.
Just say, yay, +1. Yeah, and that's exactly the kind of thing where if we had some alignment with what our basic search profile started with as default, and like what our facets were called, or that like, yes, everyone will have these 2 facets at the top, we could create a video that says no matter what community college you're searching at, you can know that these things will be the same. And then we're not having to create 30 different videos that have to stay updated, and we just have one, and you can embed it straight from YouTube, as opposed to having to upload it to a LibGuide asset and then embed it on your LibGuide page. If you embed it from YouTube, if the video gets edited or changed slightly, as long as the title stays the same, it still works. Anyway, yeah. So, what were some of the other things I wanted to point out? Something that I have learned is, while it is like nice to have library hours, because this page doesn't often get seen by librarians or staff, it's one of the first places that gets out of date at term changes. So it's almost better to just have a link, a very clear link back to library info, which they do have up here. Some people have their Alma logo going to library website. Others have it going to like research guides home. So you might want to just check out your own linking behavior to see what's going on. And if there isn't a really obvious way for people to find out how to contact the library, I'll never forget the day I insisted that the library's website should have the circulation desk phone number as well as the reference desk phone number, because the reference desk was not staffed nearly as many hours as Circ Desk, and you had to scroll all the way to the bottom. Yeah, what else? I
The very-
also
Oh, sorry. On that line, Carly, like I kind of like the very first one, or I'm thinking about the very first one that's the red. They have like a very large footer that has
Well,
like, is that common to their whole, I guess I should go, their whole
so
website, or?
their footer is not it's not coded right. Because it actually floats. So like that shouldn't be, so if you like go here, nope, that's Primo. Did we miss this? When the content's long enough, it's actually all the way at the bottom. It does look like that is their standard footer in Primo. And this link is taking them back to the Primo landing page. How do we get, and here's the university, which, so like this one's one of those ones where it's like it is not immediately apparent. Oh, and see, theirs just says straight up in English. See, it says visit our homepage, but that's for the entire university. Here's the medical library one. Oh, I guess it is. So here's their Primo Sir. That's long. Yeah, so they have some giant footers on their website.
I don't think our OneSearch has a, or we call it OneSearch, our Primo has a footer at all.
So yeah, if you want a footer, that would go into well, you'd have to have CSS for footer styling, and then you'd have to have a code for footer as well. Let's see. Yeah, so not here. Nope, you guys do not. Does
Yeah,
anyone
that's-
off
oh.
the top of their head know if their library has a footer?
If having a footer requires doing CAS or CSS
CSS, you
configuration,
don't.
definitely not.
Yeah, your Seattle's are surprisingly rough. Okay, not Bellingham.
I would be reluctant to add a footer because I don't know if that would like enhance the mobile experience. That might, I don't know how that would work on mobile.
Mm, can I? There's a way to view in a different thing, isn't there? Trying to think. I know Whitworth has one. So so they've done a very small one. And I don't even, yeah, so I made that stuff clickable. But yeah. But like this coding here was possible because I could do libguides widget with libcal, which is what makes it so hard to put a calendar on one of these pages because I don't, well, I mean, there's always a Spring Share and Alma / Primo integration session or two at eLuna, but I don't know how much progress they've made on, making libcal widgets function nicely within here. And then you'd have to have libcal. That's the other thing. So yeah, so this one has a footer. I didn't get the bottom of very many pages. But it would be interesting. I'm gonna put like random discussion question up here of like footers or no footers. What I noticed on some of these was page loading was weird. Um, um, yeah, I think it's also interesting. There's obviously different options for creating filters with the basic landing page search. So this one's chosen to do material type. This is more of the out of the box one that they implemented, that Ex Libris implemented recently. I know several people have gotten rid of those filters entirely because they kind of clutter things up. I don't love double drop downs here. I think it's too much for people trying to, know how often do these get changed. But I do like these nice big icon material type filters. And that's one thing. So when we talked about the Primo analytics last week or week before, and I showed you the reports where you can see which facets, like categories, as well as which facets are getting chosen most often in your Primo. If you see that like the available in my library is by far and away the most often chosen facet, having that filter as a nice clickable icon might be something that would be helpful for your users. Or if you see that people, the use of the material type filter is more popular, adding these icons. I like the icons for the visibility. I don't think that the terrible tiny drop downs make a lot of sense to users. Um, that's that standard out of the box wording of anywhere in the record. Well, do our users know what record means? You know, how do we reword that that contain my query words? Like, what? Includes keywords, just include search words. And like, come on, you've just used search here, but now you're using query down here. All items. Yeah, when I did a very brief kind of usability testing with our front desk students, who you would think would be more familiar, and ask them what they thought different filters meant up here. It was surprising that they had no idea that Whitworth Library didn't include articles. They didn't know what Summit was. If we go to here, no. That I think. And this initially said something else instead of all fields. I think it said anywhere in the record, and they were, oh nope, I think this is the one they changed back. Sorry, all fields. 90% of the students I asked thought all fields meant discipline area, like subject area. So when they clicked down and then we're like, wait, in the title versus author creator, they were very confused because they thought they could just like click down here and be like, search in history, search in science. Hold on, let me try. Let me see if I changed the wording. Nope, I didn't. And maybe that was one where I was like, what's an alternative? I don't know. Smarter people than me will have to figure it out. But I did add these definitions because there was so much confusion about what was default and what was not. This was like our kiosk page. But it's not a bad model for a Primo landing page. I mean, you've got a link back to the main library, link to the databases page. Because again, you just never know where someone is going to start their journey on your website. So if they're here and they can't figure out how to just X everything out, then they see these tiles. And you know, like, what is this experience on mobile? So yeah, I don't know. This was a very conceptual meeting idea today. I wanted to start putting together examples so that if you guys wanted to have conversations with your librarians, or we wanted to take a closer look at the true accessibility of any of these examples, we could. I used the Ex Libris lib guides that's like examples of Primo landing pages. So if there are others, other institutions that you know of that you're like, theirs is really awesome or theirs is really terrible. It is always good to have a terrible example, because oftentimes people don't really understand how unusable something can be if your own version is okay. So yeah, if you have more that you want to add to this, please, like feel free to send me those. Feel free to take some time and come through and comment on any of these when you've, got more time, maybe, sitting at the reference desk or something. I would love it since SJ, you brought it up, like if somebody could do a mobile test on some of these, at least on the landing pages, and maybe comment screenshots if you're feeling so inclined of what it looks like there. But yeah, summer is a great time to make small changes and see if anyone notices in the fall. uh, and and get feedback. And I think many people, when you guys first got implemented, didn't have much chance to customize Primo. You were trying to get accurate records, you were trying to get new workflows, and we're now, in a time and place where usability and accessibility is really at the forefront. And I think, if we could come out as an organization with some best practices and instructions for adding a second language option right right on the homepage, like all these different things, that if we could say, here's what we've kind of decided as a collective are some good practices, and here's how to do them, then we've provided a resource for ourselves, we've learned something, and maybe it's helpful to someone else. And hey, maybe we get a presentation out of it at eLunas sometime. So yeah, I'm gonna put a link to this document somewhere on the website. I think we've got like a Primo page. Let's see. So is there even, no, there's nothing here. I'll work on this page today and see my floating footer. This is the problem with footers. Because I have futzed with this thing so many times. And the last time I futzed with it, I went and I broke the admin view again. So I stopped futzing. Yeah, I'll start to put some of this stuff on that Primo page, so there's somewhere we can find it and collect resources. And I'd love to continue this conversation, and maybe there's a small group who would like to discuss one particular aspect and solve that. But yeah, I'm glad for the start. I see a raised hand.
Yeah, I actually raised my hand instead of just butting in.
I just butt in.
I have been really fortunate at our community college that there's in our assessment and institutional research office, there's like a group of 5 paid student employees, and they're available for like user testing. And so far I've focused on our tutorials and our research guides, but I am going to be doing user testing with them sometime on our Primo. So if that would be helpful to other people for like feature set wise, because that's what I'm thinking as I see like, oh, that's really cool, or oh, that's really pretty, is like, well, how do students actually perceive some of those
Mhm.
changes? But I'm happy to share, or if there's, I don't know if it would be of interest, but I just wanted to let folks know that I'll be doing that. So maybe we could do it together. It'd be kind of interesting, in different institutions if we have the same features. I don't know, just a thought.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love a good usability test. And I think that the Primo test views, I mean, when I went in to just look and see if people had them for the libkey implementation, I was surprised at how many folks did not have existing test views. But it's very easy to create a test view, and it technically is like public, because if you had the link, anyone could get to it. But if you're not sharing the link, no one's going to find it. But if you go to Discovery, configure views, all you have to do to create a test view is click on your main view and duplicate, and then give it a new name. And so I routinely just delete my current testing one, because I'm like, I don't know what I was doing in here, but I just want like a clean copy of live. Yes, there are thank you. Yeah, we don't need to look at the sites on the phone. There is a way to check the site on multiple devices. There's even a plugin, I think. And I also use Link Checker a lot, and there's lots of different ones. But I use this in LibGuides a lot, but it works anywhere, and it just tells you if a link is broken. If we write, you can send to your devices in Chrome, but not in Firefox. And I never use Firefox. Inspect gives us code, I think.
Try to the left of that elements thing. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I knew it was in here somewhere. So here's mobile, desktop. Yeah. So if we do this, where was that one with the crazy footer? Okay. Ooh. Yeah. So there. They've got some odd. What is going on? I can't even scroll. Yeah. This one I don't think is like a perfect version of a mobile view, but it is at least something. So you can see that their code was bananas. What's nice is so like if we did that here, something to try on your own is to just so here's desktop, and then mobile, you can see how many of these top menu items end up getting hidden. It also tells you which box is flexed to be first. So even though this one's on the far right when it's in desktop mode, it is popping up at the top, which makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah. Anyway, I could rabbit hole on this for forever. I'm glad we've got some other folks who are equally interested. Because I think there's some great stuff that we could put collective effort into and would improve everybody's. And the fact that Abby has access to some usability testing with students is a phenomenal opportunity. So yeah, let's keep this going. I've saved these links in that document. And this has been recorded, so we will have this to kind of go back to. Our next Primo meeting for an open call is May 7th. So if you have a chance in the next month to dig into a few of these or dig into your own and find things that you don't like, I will dig into some of the things that we've already said that we kind of like and figure out what parts of the display customization are necessary to make those kinds of changes happen. And then maybe from there we can figure out a few small groups or project groups to keep this going. But I think it's a good use of our time. I think and I say we, I mean all non-digitally native under 28 people. I think we kind of underestimate how little work our users will do on our website in order to be successful. And the more that we can do to improve usability, the better our collections are found, the more value we have in our content. Hopefully, the more our users actually connect with us. And it's another way that, like, at the end of the day, if you need to prove value and you can measure like website session visit length and it goes up and number of actions goes up, that means people are staying and doing things. They are not getting frustrated and leaving. So, all right, 10:55, final thoughts or ideas, throw them in the chat or just share. All right. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad we had so many fantastic participants today. I will be working limited hours for the rest of the week, but still checking email daily. So if there's a delay in a support email, that's why, but I will be around. All right.
Thank you, Carly.
Yeah, thank you.
See you next time.